All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the On the Fence podcast. I haven't done this in a while. I almost forgot our name. It's a little sad. And it took me like 30 minutes to get everything set up because I'm just like so rusty and out of practice. So we didn't release an episode last week. Uh-oh.
You mean this week?
What was it this week?
Or last week?
Just last Sunday, yeah. And the reason for that is because me and Eden were both out of town. We were on a vacation with the whole family. We went on this crazy cruise for a week. So, and we like didn't plan one ahead, unfortunately. And as of now, I think this is going to be our last episode for a little bit. I think we're going to take a break, right?
Yeah, we said we would do 2 months worth of podcasts, which we've actually gone past that point now.
Which I don't know if we said that in the first episode, but we at least said it to each other.
Yeah, and then we said we were going to reevaluate, like the whole thing to see if we liked it, if we wanted to change something, if we wanted to quit. So right now we're just thinking that we'll take a break. I would like, if we start a podcast again, I would like to go into it with more of like this is a podcast about blank. And so we like look up stuff and study stuff and then we like talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like so much that goes on that people don't talk about when they make podcasts. I mean, you have to like constantly be coming up with like thoughts and ideas and questions and like interview skills, like a lot of that stuff that I didn't. I was a little good at it because I did some like filming stuff before the podcast, obviously, so I was like used to being on a camera. But I guess you'll probably notice the first couple episodes were just like really bad. We're just like, so what else do we have to talk about? But yeah, so we've gotten a lot better at that. Last episode was featuring Dove Crawford. Did you see that?
No.
She didn't even see that. Wow, I'm disappointed.
I'm
that
not
video
a fan.
actually got like 190 views. It's actually doing pretty good, which is it's not as much as I'd want, but it's actually a lot. And we don't even have 100 subscribers, so that's more. As long as our views are higher than our subscribers, we're going to be gaining popularity. Also, the one that has the most views has like 350, and that's the one that you made with memory, which I
it's my skills.
I don't know
my
why.
skills.
But maybe if I don't touch the podcast,
I knew like of the circles that we run in, or like that of the vlogs that we made, that would be the most interesting topic to tackle.
The homeschool topic.
Yeah, like I wish I wasn't homeschooled. I was like, oh, that's good.
That was a good one. You know what was a bad one though was not the whole podcast. The thumbnail and the title wasn't really good with the one that you made with Mama because it was too big and like too complicated. Like the title was too long. So I noticed that that one only got like 60 views, but that's all right. I was fucked up in the first place because we didn't get video footage.
Yeah. Thought we did, but
so it was already. Maybe that's why it has so little views. Because in order for a view to count on YouTube, you have to watch it for like at least 10% of it, I think. And so maybe a bunch of people are watching it and they're like, oh, there's no video.
Click
so
exit out.
I'm not going to finish
exit
that.
Out. Yeah.
But yeah, this quote unquote podcasting journey has been really good for me overall. It's just like been a nice creative outlet and like, have you guys to talk to about stuff that me and Eden have that's been going on, and it's fun. Just like, literally we have no huge criteria with this podcast. We just talk about whatever the heck we want. And so and it's kind of crazy how many views we're getting lately, actually. I don't know why people watch some of the stuff, because it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's just more interesting to other people than it is to me, but it's just like everyday stuff.
I don't know why people listen to our podcast because I actually think I did listen to when we made like our first 3. I think I listened to like our second or first one just to hear how it sounded.
It's fun going back to the first couple and being like, oh wow, we've gotten a lot better at the podcast.
You think we've gotten better? I think we've gotten worse.
Well, consistency has gotten worse, but I think quality has gotten better. I mean, there's been like in terms of conversation and quality of the podcast itself. Like the first time, the thumbnail was kind of trashy, and well, no offense, and also the video editing was just like, well, not really a video editing, but just everything in general. And we also didn't have a profile picture. We didn't have any pictures at all, and they were just kind of bland.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. Well, one of the things I would really like for this podcast is I would really like people to comment like their favorite or
Down
least
below.
favorite or like podcast or segment in the podcast, or like something that they would like to see us do a podcast on. Or like how it impacted you, if it impacted you, didn't impact you, don't say anything.
We're not assuming that it impacted you. Anyways.
Cause it's nice to know, like, I don't know. I mean, we're not doing this podcast for other people, obviously, since it gets like 100 views, but it is nice to see, like, oh, if it makes a difference or if people care about it or if it's just, like, something that...
Yeah, that's one of the most valuable things about, like, doing something like this is that you're just doing it for yourself. Not in that case, it doesn't matter how many views it gets or how many likes it gets or if people like it or don't like it. Just if you're doing it for yourself or doing anything for yourself, then you shouldn't care about the feedback that other people get. Obviously, it's nice to get good feedback on podcasts, and we've got nothing but good feedback.
I saw a couple dislikes on there.
Oh really? Well, at least I
one or
haven't seen
two
them.
of them.
Maybe I'm blind, but yeah, it's been cool. Like, and a lot of people are commenting. It's fun to look at the comments. Keep commenting. If you have something to say, say it. Don't let anything hold you back, because I'm reading them, even if I'm not replying.
Wait, did you... Oh, we did a house... Okay, I'm trying to remember if we broke any promises about, like, saying, like, oh, we were going to do a podcast on this, and then we didn't do it. I was like, did we do the house podcast? But I remember we did that one.
We did do it, yeah, we did. Okay, let's do a little recap. We did... Our first one was kind of just on...
We should pull up the podcast and look at them.
Yeah. Okay, well,
because I can't remember.
But yeah, I mean, we haven't really grown subscribers amount, and I think that's okay, but it's just kind of a fun little thing to do on the side. And obviously we're not making any money off of it because you need like 1 million views in order to start monetizing videos. I'm like shivering right now. It's so cold in this house. Yeah. It was like 80 degrees in Florida, which is where we've been for the past week, and coming back here it's like 30 at the highest. It's so cold, man. Brr.
Sorry, I'm trying to find.
More about this cruise. I don't know maybe if we did a whole separate podcast on it in the future, that would be cool. But it was pretty wild experience because I had never been on one before, and my parents just wanted to show us kind of like what it was like and just give us a break. So yeah, we drove all the way down to Florida. It was like a 15-hour drive, road trip. Okay. And we also stayed at a Korean spa too. That was fun.
We have 91 subscribers.
Oh really? That's more than I thought.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 podcasts. So this will make 11 podcasts.
How many views did the last one get?
185.
That's not bad.
Our most viewed podcast was Why I Wish I Was in Homeschool.
That was a good one. Our
first two actually got quite a few views.
Yeah.
And then
I think my least favorite one was probably the Christmas one, because we were like, okay, we have to stay consistent. We have to put one out every Sunday, and that means no breaks off, even though we honestly probably should have just skipped for Christmas. But we were kind of like thinking of what do we talk about for that podcast, and it was I don't know, coming up with ideas is like, it's in like some ways it's like the best part of a creative process, but it's also, it can be just the most. When
you come up with a good one, you're like, yeah. When you come up with a good one, when you come up with a bad one that you think is good, you're like, and then everybody else
stupid.
is like. But I think we should go through all of our comments
right now.
I mean.
Oh yeah, we've never done that. Okay.
Since this might be the last one for a while.
Yeah, let's do that. That's a good idea. Okay, let me pull up the comments really quick.
I'll pull up the comments really quick. I actually can't because I'm not logged in.
Okay.
But if I go podcast by podcast, our first podcast has 3 comments, but one of them is us. So someone says, "Would love to hear an entire podcast on home ownership and the journey, adventure, struggles, challenges, etc. that came with fixing, renovating, etc. the house."
We did. That's the one that we did already, right? That's cool.
Yeah, we did that. Oh, that's a really long comment.
Then we said, yes, we'll have to make that podcast in the future.
And then another person said, swearing is okay.
That's good to hear.
Okay, second podcast has 2 comments. Very interesting hearing the older kids' opinion on the whole marathon situation. I can't imagine the amount of stress that's put on everyone, including the parents.
Yeah, the marathon topic was a big one, and I knew that one was going to be a banger video because we got a lot of clout for that whole marathon topic. So like anything we had to do was talking about marathons. I think we would get a lot of feedback.
And someone else just was talking about the podcast in general. Our third episode, going into college.
Oh, that was a fun one to make. Have you ever worn your glasses on this podcast? I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah, I have.
I've never seen them.
Only twice, though. I'm looking at the thumbnails to double check. Okay, this one.
I don't know why, but every single time we make a podcast, I feel like I have to be wearing something different.
Yeah, I'm wearing the same sweater that I wore on our first podcast. But I don't know. I just think it's not, less something different and more just like I want variety in our thumbnails. Like I don't want them all to look the same. So I just think about that a little bit.
I want them all to be special and look different.
You're wearing like a button down in almost every single podcast.
Flannel.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's my style. Especially in the wintertime.
Oh, actually. Yeah. Okay. Anyways. Yeah. I actually didn't see the Enneagram one at all.
Yeah, that one was... I didn't know what to title that one.
Say?
But we covered Instagram and like how Dove uses Instagram, because I think she's actually pretty good with Instagram. And astrology and Enneagram, which is already in the title, and kind of... She is like really interested into astrology and Enneagram, and she has a bunch of books and topics on all of that. So that was a really interesting episode. Yeah. Also, Deb was a really good person to make a podcast with because she had a lot to say, which is cool. Which I was expecting like me to have to talk a lot more, but it was mostly like ask one question, and she had like a whole list of answers. So it's a really interesting podcast. I will go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. So in the future, I guess it's possible that we will continue this, but kind of what I set out for myself, and I think Eden too maybe, is just like a thing to try out and commit to for 2 months.
I feel like this podcast is just gonna be like a whole lot of nothing. It's like.
What do you mean?
We didn't really organize it very well with like we don't have questions to ask each other.
It's the first time I've ever done it, so. What can you expect?
I mean this episode specifically.
Oh, this episode. We're just kind of like
should be 20 minutes instead of 45 minutes.
Yeah, sure, whatever, however long. I don't really care how long it is.
It should just be like update and like taking a break. Our podcast broke up.
Yeah, band broke up. But yeah, it's been a really good learning experience for me of just creating a podcast. And now I know how to do all this stuff, because if I make a podcast in the future, I'll be better at it next time.
I do know that making a podcast is a lot easier than I thought, but that's only because we have all the equipment already. I really appreciated this time in this space just to kind of try things out where the stakes are pretty low. And then thank you to everyone who listened, commented, just
watching. Thanks for watching.
Mostly listening, but watching too.
Or the feedback. Also, it's really nice because all this stuff was set up before we started doing the podcast, because my parents used to do podcasts here. So we have the whole fencing set up, which they set that stuff up, which honestly was a huge inspiration to the name. And then the Rainier beer was just there already, and all this podcast stuff was set up. So
not that stuff really matters,
but
but
it looks
you
cool.
don't need that stuff to set a podcast. But more, I think, when I was trying to use the Scarlet, whatever that thing is, there's this red block thing that you have to use with the microphones.
Mm-hmm.
I probably spent 5 hours over separate over the times that I did a podcast by myself, trying to figure it out and watching videos and
of that Scarlet Red box.
Yeah, because I didn't know how to use it, and they were there was a ton of videos,
you
but they would always
5 hours trying to.
Well, I spent 1 hour one time, 1 hour another time, 30 minutes one time, because something would always be different each time, and I would learn how to do it, and a couple weeks would pass before I would have to do it again, and then I'd be oh, was it this or this? And then one time, remember when we recorded that whole podcast, and then we hadn't recorded any of it?
Oh yeah, that sucked. That was so stupid because there was a loop bar on the GarageBand thing, and I didn't realize it. So once I hit record, we started, and then when I looked down, the podcast was that long, and it was and I was oh my gosh. So that podcast was terrible. I don't even remember which one it was. But.
So then we had to re-record the exact same podcast 5 minutes after we had just recorded it. And a lot of it was me and Seven asking each other questions. So then at this point, we already knew the answers.
Yeah, but
and
the
we
first
were
one
super
was
tired.
So good. The
yeah,
first
we
one
were
was
just
so good compared to the second one.
So
it was really bad.
It was really lame.
But that stuff is gonna happen. If you're gonna be doing it for the first time, there's gonna be probably some times where you're gonna mess up with either not hitting the record button on the camera or on the microphone, or something might not be plugged in.
Something silly like that could so easily be prevented, but somehow just
something
isn't.
Might just break. This chair just disappeared for this podcast. It was just gone. I came over here and there was only that chair, and I was oh my god, we got to have another chair to make the podcast. What are we gonna do? But I like the matching, so I didn't want to pick just some ordinary random chair.
So then we ran all the way to the only store in town and paid $2,000
to get a new
chair.
one. Yeah.
Now it was upstairs in my dad's office.
Yeah. He ain't gonna be happy if I don't put it back, so I'm gonna have to put it back after this.
But anyways, moral of the story is, it was kind of intimidating to start a podcast, even though we had all the stuff. I was I don't know what we're gonna talk about. I don't know how to talk into a microphone. I don't know how to record a podcast. The only thing I knew how to do was edit and publish one, and that's very little of the process.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is, things are a lot easier once you start doing it. I think half the battle is starting. Once you start, then it's just
and headspace, a lot of it is in your
and
head.
you can Google so many things of how to do things.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy, and you have to be patient and just keep on plodding forward. And it feels kind of stupid sometimes when you just keep on going almost blindly, and I'm gonna make a mistake because you have no idea what you're doing. But
yeah, it's inevitable. You are gonna make mistakes.
Even though I don't know quite fully the outcome of us deciding to record podcasts for 2 months, it feels like a little blip, nothing. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna impact people that much. It's just proof again of things aren't as hard as they seem a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And we had it a lot easier than a lot of other people.
Yeah, and prove to me and Eden, like, if you want to start a podcast, you can do it.
Yeah, and you can apply that to a lot of other things. Just, like, go for it.
If you want to write a poem every single day, you can do it, kind of.
I don't recommend it, but...
Yeah, how's that going, by the way? Have you messed up yet?
It depends on what you define as a mess up.
Like, have you missed a day?
I miss a day, but then I just post 2 the next day.
So you haven't missed a day?
No.
Like, you haven't missed a poem?
Well, sometimes, like recently we went on a trip, we didn't have Wi-Fi, so, like, there were 3 days where I didn't have Wi-Fi, so then I had to, like, take pictures of 3 different poems and then post them all in one day once we finally got Wi-Fi. That's just, like, but yeah, I'm at 300 and something, so I only have, like, I'm most of the way there. I only have a couple more weeks to go.
You're not getting a whole lot of followers from that, are you? Like, it's not blowing up or anything.
I mean, it's not really, that's never been my goal. My goal was to get better at writing, to write more, which that has been really helpful because, like, once you make a promise and you make it public, like, oh, I'm going to post a poem every day, then you have to write a poem every day. Or you have to write 2 poems in one day. And also I wanted to get more comfortable with posting things that I didn't think were perfect.
Yeah.
So it's been really helpful with all 3 of those things.
That is a hard thing for me. I, like, really strive for perfection sometimes where I'm just like a huge, really cool idea that I have in my head of a project for a video or something. And then one thing goes wrong and I'm like, you know, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? No.
Stops you from living your life.
That's really hard, yeah. Yeah, that's a really hard battle.
But it's also been really cool to see, like, a lot of people, I don't get a lot of followers or a lot of likes or, like, I get a comment every once in a while, but mostly it's been cool to see, like, when people repost things or when people say, like, oh, sometimes there'll be, like, one comment, they'll be like, that's exactly how I feel. And then you're like, wow, like, I must have, like, done something. Like, I changed someone's day just, like, a tiny bit. But that was worth the 10 minutes that I spent writing this poem, the 5 minutes that I spent, like, editing the picture and getting it ready to post, and then, like, the 2 minutes that I spent posting it and, you know, doing whatever else I do to post those poems. Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, I think you'd be surprised sometimes of, like, a lot of people have very similar feelings to other people. They're like,
yeah,
I'm just not motivated. I must be the only one who's not motivated, or I must be the only one who's feeling like this. This sucks, blah, blah, blah.
It's also really gratifying to, like, describe something and have someone, like, be like, they don't say thank you for posting this, but you feel like that you can feel like you're being thanked when they say, you know, like, I feel this way too. Yeah. Anyways, that was a long tangent. I don't know how long this podcast is so far, but I don't have anything else to talk about. So,
yeah. Well, I think we're just gonna wrap it up with that now, the whole thing. And yeah, thanks guys for all your feedback and support. It's been great. It's been real. And yeah, I guess I can't promise any podcast anytime soon anymore because it's sad. But yeah, goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now. Thank you for watching and or listening. I mean, listening and or watching. We appreciate it. I know I appreciate it. And comment down below any thoughts you have on us podcasting, past podcasts, and future possible podcasts. Future possible or projects podcasts. In general. Yeah. We'll see you guys
soon, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. No promises, though. All right. Peace out.